Hello everyone, myself Mahir Goel welcomes you all to the first live talk show of our corporate lecture series with my co-host Anurag, Saksham and Pranjal. CIG is an operating platform that bridges the gap between industry and academia. The group brings together all the stakeholders of industrial collaborations together on one table. We propose to connect, collaborate and innovate. With this aim, today we have with us Dr. Sunil Kumar, Director, Data Ericsson, and Co-Chair Industry Engagement IEEE Bangalore. Recently, he has won the prestigious Genome Award 2020 for his contribution to the field of artificial intelligence and data analytics. He has conferred the award in the Technical Role Model, Emerging Technologies, AI, and Big Data Analytics category in the virtual ceremony held on July 31, 2020. He has 16 plus years of industrial and research experience in AI, machine learning, data analytics, optimization, IoT, and automation. Talking about his academic career, he has completed his graduation from Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Jaipur, and pursued MTech from IIT Roorkee. He completed his PhD from IIT Roorkee. He completed his PhD from the University of IIM Bangalore. He featured as one of the top 10 data scientists in India for 2019 by Analytics India magazine. He received Top 40 Data Scientists Under 40 in India 2019 award by Analytics India magazine. He is the lead inventor of 23 plus patents and 30 plus papers in international conferences and journals. He worked as a principal scientist in Philips and part of the research leadership team and tech council. Besides, he worked as a key architect in Infosys Mana, a knowledge-based AI platform of Infosys. He is the senior member of ACM and IEEE, fellow of IETE, life member of CSI, and MC member of CSI Bangalore. He has delivered 100 plus guest lectures and a regular speaker at AI forums in India. We are very grateful to have such a prestigious alumnus of IIT Roorkee with us. Today, we will be asking him the different questions raised by the students of IIT Roorkee, and we will get to know more about his experiences, his life lessons, and fruitful advices from it. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me now? Thanks for the detailed introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Perfect.
So,
Should we wait for a few more minutes or over
just
to
a
you? No
few
problem.
seconds, a few seconds. Just it's getting
No
on.
problem. No problem.
Hello, sir. There was some network issue that time. Yeah. So, good morning, sir. This
Good
is
morning.
Pranjal. And firstly, we would like to hear from you the journey from IIT Roorkee to becoming the
Mhm.
director of Ericsson. And what was the motivation behind choosing this career?
Okay. So it's actually today is a special day because August 16th, 2004, I joined my first organization, the campus placement from Roorkee. That's my in Oracle. So I spent 2 years in Roorkee. The first campus placement, as I mentioned, it's in Oracle, typical, definitely prestigious company in the R&D organization. But what I felt in after working for 2 years is it's more of a development, even though it's called most of the R&D organizations point of view, very little research, but more of the development. But there may be a core group which does really the research aspect, right? That's true for most of the organizations. So that motivated me to shift maybe after 2 years, because I'm interested in pursuing the research aspect. So that motivated me to go to Infosys R&D. Infosys, as you guys know, it's more of a services kind of a organization, but they do have a very core R&D group, which exists for some time, but now they change in different forms and shapes. But when we joined, it used to called as set labs, software engineering and technology labs. So that's by choice. So whether at the time, so there are three options usually at a career point. If you want to go for another R&D organization, or maybe choose a H1, B1 kind of an opportunity. Mostly people will join Infosys because even within 2 years, if you work, you can go abroad and maybe settle there as well. So, but the choice is yours. So my deliberate choices, I know joining the research, I will have, I enjoy traveling. That's why I have B1. I travel maybe 10 times to Europe or US, but I never want to settle. So that's a career choice to join the research organization per se. So the advantage of that is having almost access till the CEO level or even to the board level. So the long duration, almost like 11 years, which I spent, is evaluated in two, three perspectives. One is working on the cutting edge technology, and that we have access to present to the CXOs. So mostly because it's a small R&D arm, whenever some CXO level people comes, so it's always the company will be motivated to show what's new, right? That time it's IoT. Even AI is not there in the beginning of maybe when I'm talking about 2006, 7 time of it. Maybe AI is there, but it's not like the hyped kind of a thing. That time the hype was more of IoT, so or analytics for that matter, is just starting. So we started almost like a 2-member team till almost grown to 70-member team in the research itself. You can see the how penetration. It's more like convergence lab we used to call. So that's the one aspect of choice. Second aspect is even though it is given good patents or maybe the papers or even the real deployments to some extent, but the return on investment is always the question. That time you guys know, maybe 2008 time there was a recession, just like the COVID thing is heading to recession. There was one recession. So always the thing is, yes, the technology is good, but what is the return on investment? Okay, we used to we built the Internet of Things platform. We showcased to the CXOs. They appreciated around the world. But finally, if they want to really invest some dollars, right? So naturally, what comes is, okay, how much is the return on investment? Usually, it should be within 18 months to 24 months. Otherwise, they will say, okay, I can postpone it. I can do it later because I do have other priorities. So that's okay. We are collecting the data, we are doing it, but that's where the natural thing in 2011 and 12 happens, where it is not just only building the IoT platform, but we need to share the insight. That's where the analytics is coming into picture, all the big data analytics, and that's where naturally followed the hype there. But even before the hype of this one, we used to call the buzzwords as automation and AI. So one is coming from IoT and even beyond the IoT as well, because we used to have a lot of ticket data and all the thing, right? So that's why I have fortunate to work across the verticals, because I am always a horizontal guy. So I'm specialized in technology, but not on a specific vertical. So we have opportunity to, that's also kind of a choice. I have friends even from Roorkee, my own classmates, who are very specialized, let's say security, or maybe the telco, or maybe telco also specifically. There are some people who are working on the specialized ones. That's a vertical growth. So for us, it's more on the horizontal thing. So with that, we are able to build platforms, and then at the same time, I enjoyed even the PhD just in front of the campus, actually, the Triple IT. So maybe one correction to the PhD was done from Triple IT Bangalore, and after that, management program from IIM. So that's a win-win for me. So it used to be even, but it's being done in the working mode. So it's not an easy job as you guys expect. So it took almost 7 to 8 years to complete it. But at the same time, it's applied research really that really motivated to participate in terms of what are the real challenges, right? So that's where maybe we will link it to that maybe in the startup and kind of environment, but still it really the applied research what industry values. Then the next choice is, okay, once we do that, then later on Philips research. So after building the platform, they are also building the platform on health suit insights on the healthcare. So let me apply my knowledge there and then solve the problem. That's where I'm able to work on some interesting problems in the Philips as well. After that, the latest choice is in the Ericsson. So as I mentioned, it's always a horizontal. The problems are almost the same everywhere. Whether it is whether you use the technology, but only thing is some domain knowledge. Without domain, we can't completely take. But usually, we'll get the domain experts, and we can learn some of the part of the domain to solve the problem. So these are the career choices I made. Sometimes it is by choice. Sometimes even the organizations also favors in terms of especially to name, there was a turbulence in Infosys also. If you follow the historical thing, the CEOs, the founders changed it to the new members. So that time, most of my mentors left the Infosys. So that time I have a choice. Maybe I'm talking about 2012 period. So whether shall I continue or maybe leave, but sticking to that also helped me to work till the CEO level on building the AI and automation platform where we are able to leverage. Now it is becoming a very buzzwords, but maybe 2012-13 time it's kind of a differentiation factor. So those kind of decisions helped me to reach till this point.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Second question that our audience would like to know, sir. Prior to joining Ericsson, you worked at Philips
Yes.
as a principal scientist, where you were involved in health-related applications.
Yeah.
So, how different is this telecom industry from healthcare industry in terms of artificial intelligence?
Yeah. So to answer that point, let me put two aspects there. One is definitely domain is completely independent. So one is on the healthcare, one is on this one. But the choice of problems, what we do, right? So the technology wise, let's say if I throw the terms like computer vision, which I worked mostly in the with the images of, let's say, chest X-ray or CT and these kind of images, which we worked in Philips, are the similar technologies we are using, because there is something like a transfer learning. If you are maybe into the deep learning or maybe the machine learning, you will hear understand the term transfer learning, right? So the transfer learning, the beauty of that is you can apply across the industries, okay, by reducing the effort or maybe the instead of writing from scratch. So that's one of the biggest advantage I could see as a commonality. But if you ask, maybe healthcare is much more, maybe the COVID-19 is also maybe pressing us to talk more on that front, saying it's more touching the lives directly, right, compared to the healthcare, but compared to the telecom. But another interesting point is the COVID-19 is also pushing us without the communication how these things will happen. Even now, most of you are in your hometowns, and then I'm at my hometown, but still we are making sure the things are going on, right? If you see the industry aspects wise, the commonality is most of the industries even shaked because of the COVID-19, especially the entertainment industry or maybe the hotel industry, travel industry, tourism industry, all the things, right? It's almost, it may take a couple of years to bounce back. But especially which are on the top to serve the needs are pharma, then health, life sciences, people call it as healthcare and communication. These are the top ones. So that way there is and that too we are talking about the synergies, how 5G can be applied in the healthcare. Okay, there are, because especially we are talking about telemedicine, and COVID-19 is much more, most of my doctor colleagues from Philips, what they say is, we used to have the colleagues as the doctors as well, because it's a healthcare industry, they are experts in the domain. So most of them are doing telemedicine now. So without the technology of the communication, it won't be possible, right? So I'm trying to give the synergies of what we are doing in terms of problem solving, in terms of technology. But completely different aspect, if I talk about, is the domain aspect, because I need to understand the domain, what I'm trying to solve here in the when it comes to the healthcare. Maybe I need to take the help of my doctors or maybe the technologists there to really understand how the modality works. Modality means how the X-ray works or how the CT image work or ultrasound work, because finally we need to deploy the models there. Whereas the deployment models here is completely going to be different, because I'm not talking about any of those modalities, but maybe a node, maybe what you see in the cell phone towers, the big towers in the outside area, right? So maybe I need to deploy there. But if you see the common things, interestingly, I'm pursuing the similar problems what I solved in Philips even here also. For instance, explainable AI or edge AI. So these are cutting edge technologies where I already solved some of them in Philips, and continuing this as part of my job here as well. So what I mean to say is, some of the problems technology point of view, it's not different, but there are aspects which we want to see it completely different, and the prioritization also will be different. For instance, in healthcare, I'm going to play out of 100%, maybe at least for my work concerned, maybe 60-70% I played with the computer vision, because mostly images, videos, and those kind of aspects. But whereas here, the percentage definitely will vary, because here most of the data is structured, because the cells, what you see, the towers, they generate GBs of data per day. and which leads our network operating center. So, and then compared to the computer vision and NLP, maybe that constitute maybe 20, 30% or maybe 30, 40% at max, but remaining 60% easily the structured data, maybe the time series data or maybe the predictive analytics. So that's why it may vary. But luckily, based on my background, maybe the projects what I'm handling with my team is a mix of it. So that's not a true representation of, or maybe I may have 50-50 percent of what we are solving with the previous case and now as well. So I hope that summarizes, right? It has synergies at the same time, the difference factors as well. So not only for these industries, because I worked on other industries as well, the common thing what you can see is even you can apply some of these things in finance or manufacturing, any of those as well. The beauty is the transfer learning. But without domain knowledge, it won't be completely possible. So sometimes we may need to take in the campus, if you are trying to solve the problem, maybe you will take the help of faculty. And if you are trying to solve it in the industry, we as a small team, what we constitute, even though it's a simple data science problem or a business problem to solve it, we will convert it into data science problem. And initial couple of months, we have a domain expert or SME, we call it as. Unless he translate us, by the time we ramp up in the domain, so that is definitely required. So to solve the complete problem.
No, thank you so much, sir. Next thing is, sir, earlier you have said that the tech-driven education at IIT Roorkee laid the way for my strong foundation in the emerging technology domain.
Yes.
So we want to know from you, sir, what was the institute role in becoming one of the forerunners of data-driven technologies?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that's a very relevant as well, because I'm talking to not the general audience, to my own alma mater, right? So two things I will refer to that, because naturally being a prestigious institute, you will carry the brand for life. Okay, so that naturally it will be there. It's not just only the brand, actually. At the same time, what we have the foundations. For instance, for me, what helped is, one is the regular programs or maybe the curriculum wise, but we used to have electives as well, right? So I chosen some elective even from a maths department. That time even we don't know about what is AI, or maybe we have basic courses, and sometimes we used to get the choice by professor also. I don't know if still some Chakravarti professor is still, he is there in the ECE. So I'm really passionate about his way of teaching and learning the communication. Okay, so I have a choice to make, whether operating system versus the communication. Actually speaking, being a computer science, my natural choice should go to operating system, but I already studied operating system. Let me see how the communication will be. But I need to compete with the BTech guys there, where they know the professor more well than me in the BTech first semester, or MTech first semester. So that is one of the that is the least grade I might have got, but I never regret that. Okay, so the point is the learning point of view, the competition point of view, or sometimes by choice by the professors, because we really enjoy it for the learning. And maybe first 10 years I haven't used that learning, but now that learning is helping me in Ericsson, because this is a telecom company, right? So that's why some choices what you made, maybe for some time you may not use it, but overall thing what I learned from there is not just only the subject, but ultimately you are becoming a professional. That is very important. So when I compare, let's say, a degree candidate, right, BSc, or I have a good respect for each of the programs, what I say, but they call only engineering and medicine as professionals. Why? Because of the problem solving skills, or maybe the environment what we have, and it's not just only the subject, but at the same time the problem solving skills. Okay, that's the core for a professional. That's why I work even later on. Most of the IITians, whether it's from Roorkee or even other IITs, in my career journey, either from Infosys or my latest visit to campus was to recruit some expert track people. That means specialized people from CS department, or who are core ACE programmers that time, maybe paying 5 times the typical salary what they used to pay as a Infosys one. So that's my latest. But at the same time, in Philips, we used to get the interns every summer. Okay, that way I'm in touch almost in most of the IITs on what's going on, how the changing in the curriculum. They are adaptive that way. But from coming to my own experience there, one is on choice of the subjects and electives is one thing which made us strong. At the same time, second, we have exchange programs. So with the other, for instance, I have done my thesis program in Macquarie University, Sydney. So my two of my department friends went there, and we used. I think you guys are aware there is a DAD scholarship, DAED, Germany. So every
Yes,
year,
yes.
some of the rookie guys. I learned Germany also, German language also. We used to have say professor in mechanical engineering, thinking that I may get an opportunity in DAD, and there is a Sweden. I think 4 5 programs that time was there even in 16 years ago. But now I'm sure there are much more programs. As students, please leverage those. It may be corporate engagements or maybe foreign university engagements. The thing is, it will expand the scope, and the two, we have a professor here also, and at the same time, we can go. I spent last semester there, so that's also definitely I should be thankful for lifetime. Even I am in touch with my professors all till now, actually speaking. So Professor Sarji, Anil K. Sarji is our department head. He's retired and happily settled in Bhopal. R.K. Joshi, he's went to, I think, Graphite University, something near Dehradun. I think Manoj Mishras are still there in most of some senior professors anyway retired by this time. But I'm happy to be in touch with at least 3 4 professors. So the for subjects what we learned is really helpful. Then second thing is the placement is always a core activity, whether it we are not talking about now. So always is a trendsetter for us, even though Roorkee is a remote area compared to other IITs, but never felt any gap, especially on the placement point of that is helped. And the external collaborations and these connections, right? It may each and every student may not get that opportunity, but if you are on the top list or if you are really eager, then definitely you can encourage that. And the fourth point is the interdisciplinary research. So now that time it is, I won't say it is very strong. Let me be frank on that, because there are some other IITs may be much more stronger on the interdisciplinary aspect. But now it is much more demanding now, because the data science, especially AI, is not limited to one thing, right? For instance, I done my PhD in the smart grid area. I studied an elective which is electrical engineering. So maybe you in the and we don't have a in the triple IT we don't have a specific professor. That professor is very senior. He suggested some kind of a MOOC kind of a thing with DP Kotari, IIT Delhi professor lectures kind of a thing. So now the option what we have is nowadays electives are there. Even electives are limited. Then there is the online learning, which much more access is there for you guys. Okay, so these are the four things which I can reflect. To summarize, one is on the choice of the electives. Second thing is the leveraging the available opportunities, because I tried for all of them, DAD, then Sweden thing, and even the Australia one. Australia only 2 people got, but really enriching experience that work. Okay, and fourth one is interdisciplinary. Interdisciplinary means the thing interdisciplinary is the evaluation of my final thesis was done by not by my department, so it's done by electrical engineering professor. Okay, so that way there is some collaboration always, the maths department and this one, so it can be much more maybe it might have improved by this time, but I wish the proposals what we are getting, or maybe in the DST fundings what we are getting, I wish the rookie also can leverage by proposing from the interdisciplinary. At the end what you feel is it's not just engineering, what only the CS who are getting the into data science, right? Even half of my team members are IITians, whether it's from Roorkee or other places, right? They are not coming from only one is computer science background. Other one is someone is from ocean engineering in IIT Madras, or somebody is in meteorological engineering. So there are some commonalities as a professional, what you are showing the value and the codings. That's good enough.
Thank you so much, sir. Lastly, sir, I would like to know what are the primary areas of research and development that your company Ericsson is working on now?
Okay, so maybe to do that, can I take the help of the screen? Shall I share the screen? I can
Yeah,
show
sure,
some
sure.
things. It will be
Sure.
easy.
I will stop
Just
the
confirm
share.
if you can see it. I'm sharing only the public information.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so this is just public information only. Can you see now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will not go into too many details of what my unit is. So we call it as a global AI accelerator. So one interesting point I want to tell here is we have Ericsson research separately, which R&D, we have a R&D presence of maybe 800, 900 people in Bangalore and even in Gurgaon. But out of that, maybe a small portion of research is already available in Bangalore. But at the same time, we have separately carved out the unit. That's also a reason for me to join here as a director last year, is they have a specific aim of how do you accelerate the growth of AI or penetration of AI in the organization. Okay, because we do have 1 lakh employees, and maybe we are aiming to make 5,000 or 10,000 AI experts down the line, but doesn't mean that only Gaia will expand. So Gaia may stands for Global AI Accelerator. It may stuck at 300, 400 people or maybe 500 people, but we want to democratize the AI. So we are present in Santa Clara, then Sweden, and then in India, Bangalore and Chennai. But the main aim to answer your question is we are doing to do acceleration of execution of the strategy using the AI, whether it is in 4G or existing deployments or upcoming 5G, and then build critical mass of the competence. So how, because the reason is we do have a lot of business problems. How do you solve it and make sure, uh, because we are in the B2B space. So compared to, let's say, the in the telecom, what you see are the more common buzzwords like Geo or AT&T or Airtel, Vodafone. These are all the ones which are more common because they are into the B2C. But the background technology what they provide is mostly 30-40% of the around provided by the Ericsson, and rest of them may be shared by the competitors. So the role of AI, if you for specifically for your question, can you see the?
Yes, sir.
So what we are talking about here is we call it as this kind of a pillar where you can see the network services. That means the core, our core technology is some kind of a RAN, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G of those things, right? And it starts from
Yes.
there, and then where the radio access is coming into picture. The network services is ancillary ones, but mostly the core system of the blue thing what you see, the 5G and even the other things, 3G, 4G. Plus we do have transport IP, just like you see the OSI layers. We do have those 7 layers, or maybe the 4 5 layers if I summarize those. This is more of an application layer, the green one. And it has a RAN the RAN stands for radio access network, and then transport, core IP, then cloud related, because most of them are cloud based scenarios, right? So and then providing the network services, at the same time application services. What it is trying to tell you across them, at the same time in the cloud services as well. So AI is penetrated everywhere. So some of the core business also we are trying to do it a very, that means maybe a core electronics or maybe electrical engineering kind of guys will play the role here. Whereas in the applications, anybody can play the role. And network services, maybe the electronics and communication guys can play a role. But there are some specific areas where they demand some of the core technology from telecommunication. But there are other areas where anybody from with a problem solving skills also can solve it. But if you feel that it is too at a high level, then let me just show you some problem statement. If you are talking about network planning and operations, we are talking about how do you do the customer experience much more better. Okay, one example of that is in terms of operations. Can I reduce the number of customer complaints is one of the project I recently worked on, without naming the who is the customer there. So can you, the where the AI is trying to help us is not just only going into reactive mode, but kind of a proactive. Okay, so can I predict it? That's where the core strength is coming, right? Otherwise, these kind of problems, the people are solving it. Optimization, for instance, is not new. Maybe some 40 years onwards it is there, or maybe some retrospective actions or standard statistics, they're all there. But we are trying to enhance with the new technologies, maybe solving the old problems, but with much more efficient way. We can do similarly planning and design. I may not pick each and every example, but I will take some of them like that. For instance, IoT. So IoT analytics means now is not just only the data, is not the only the cell phones, right? So we used to connect the other devices as well. So how do you make the edge AI there? So some of the cases we are talking about deploying the deep learning kind of a model even on the edge. That edge can be as small as a drone, or maybe a web camera, or maybe our cell node in the tower. Okay, so there are a lot of security aspects to handle that. Then in the core business also, we have how do you reduce, how do you detect the incidents proactively? How do you solve it? Can you go to the root cause analysis? Always don't be at a surface level. Can you go a little deeper on that? And how do you optimize the resources there? Because always, as you guys also following, irrespective of the branch you are coming, so the day-to-day, if you see in whether masters or PhD as well, is mostly on some kind of trade-off you are doing, some performance evaluation or some performance improvement or optimization. So naturally, this can also, along with existing techniques, AI also can help there. Then how do you build the robust systems? How do you make sure the system availability is 99.9999 kind of a thing? Okay, so the existing systems we are trying to challenge our own benchmarks, and then can you make it much more proactive is the thing I am talking about there. Then when it comes to the core network, where our core strength, maybe 70% of revenue coming from the core network for us, where how do you do the energy efficiency? So it may be looking like a very traditional problem. Yes, that problem is very traditional and then very old, but still, can the new technologies be more proactive? Even some millisecond switching or can save over the time huge amount of energy for us. Then how do you do the load and mobility management? How do you do the radio resource optimization? That's what I'm talking about. Can you go to the sleep mode, but how fast you can switch back? Then how do you do the transport optimization? Each and every layer we can take on that front. So these are some of the core things. Maybe some people from background on the electronics and computers can understand, but can I talk about some applications which everybody can understand? Yes. For instance, if you are coming from not coming from the background of telecom, but still you have a good computer vision knowledge or deep learning, machine learning knowledge, then you can easily relate to these kind of things. This is like a visual intelligence. What we are trying to build there is these are more like the towers, maybe the towers like this, and then where we have the cell. We call it as the cell phone is different and cell is different. Cell phone is what we talk about mobile, but the cell is more like in the tower. What is there? This is kind of a cell. It may be circular, it may be horizontal like this. So there, can you prepare because they are exposed to the outside world? Can you make it weatherproof? What does that mean is it may be looking like a very trivial problem for you. Why you are wondering about? By the way, who will give these pictures? The drones are giving us these images. There's a new trend now. So initially, but now we are talking about it. No more a manual maintenance, but can you use the latest technology and let the drone give us go the towers? Otherwise, what is the difficulty? Somebody needs to climb all the tens of meters of the tower and really check whether it is perfect, kind of a thing. So what we are bringing on the table is use the latest technology at the same time, make sure there are no exposed parts. There is not much of too much of bending because all this will be part of making the deterioration in the signal. Okay, can you make it proactive is also new thing. And then at the same time, they are not stopping us building the models of computer vision. We are trying to deploy the models in the technician cell phones or even the tabs, so that when the really somebody go and climb the things after to fix the issue, because we are identifying out of lakhs of cells. Can you hear me? I'm hearing some noise. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'm if I talk about the problem here, okay, it starts like this. So I have the towers like this, and maybe I want my aim is to make sure that it is weatherproof. Now let's say it's a monsoon and we don't want any exposed parts like this. Let the drone give me the village, these all across the villages or cities. For instance, to give the magnitude of this, a city like a Delhi or maybe a Bombay or Bangalore will have lakhs of these cells. Okay, the cell towers, and even each tower may have six cells kind of thing. So then the magnitude also you can see it is impossible for us to humanly to go each and everything and make sure, right? So what the drone images, the videos coming from drone is helping us is to identify the vulnerable cells or maybe worst performing cells, and then really identify, yes, these are the issues. Then assign the technician to go there. Maybe at this stage we are not talking about a robo going and fixing it. Maybe in future it can happen as well. But as of now, we are talking about building the model in the cloud and then deploy the inference in the cell phone or maybe tab which the technician is carrying. What he will do, he will climb the thing and then okay see the things and fix it, and then if he takes just a photo of that, naturally he can immediately get the confirmation, yes, he fixed the problem then and there may not be there is nothing like required something somebody from back end office needs to give them, yes, whether he done the properly. Otherwise what will happen if you not fix properly, what will happen again, he need to assign that and reclaim that, right? We can avoid all that thing and make into a visual intelligence aspect. So these are some of the things which I can share in public, what we are doing. So something like a bending, the same example we can go with the cable blending is more of an object detection kind of problems. Is on the computer vision aspects. So I talked about the computer vision aspects. We talked about a lot of these optimizers. These are more on the structured data, and even on the other angle, we do have not natural language processing kind of problems as well. That's more on a lot of log files are coming. How do you process them? Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. Thank you, sir, so much, sir, for sharing your valuable experience. It was great
Yeah,
connecting with you. Now,
sure.
I would like to hand over the mic to my fellow host.
Hmm. Thank you.
So there seems to be some problem. Just Just a minute, sir.
No problem.
Yes. Sir, can you please stop the presentation on your side? So it's like overlapping on it.
Yeah, no problem. I stop presenting. I can do the presentation if I need to pull up some information like this.
Sure, sir.
Otherwise, you can go ahead.
So, sir, like you have been such a good detailed answer, and the responses over the of the different technicalities involved in data science is so great. So,
Hmm.
being a
Thank you.
data enthusiast myself, I want to go into a
Mhm.
bit more into the technology scale. So, sir, just 20
Okay.
years, just around 20 years from now, from now, so the
Hmm.
machine learning capabilities were
Hmm.
hugely limited for us because we did not have the hardware.
Correct.
We did not have the hardware. So, but with the emergence of GPUs and the big data technologies, even the large scale applications are now like it's getting
Hmm.
possible. So, sir, I want to ask, and majority of the IIT Roorkee audience want to know that's what's the next chapter in data? Means what's the big
Hmm.
thing in data?
Okay. What is the next big thing you are asking?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Then let me just pull. Can I present? I have just 2 3 slides on that so that I can give you. And some of the slides, what I have, I can even share it to you guys if it is really useful. Can you
Yeah, sure,
confirm
sure.
if you can see my screen? You can see, right? So I'll pull in some information on maybe this may be the good one to show it to you. Have you ever seen this kind of hype cycle?
No, sir, we haven't seen like
Are you
this.
familiar with the hype cycle? No. Okay. As a student, I also may not expect you that you need to this one, but it directly answers your point in terms of some technologies, even though it is AI is taken granted. Let me answer in two aspects. What is going to happen? What is going to be the next big thing is there may be some new technologies keep coming and going. So, for instance, in my career, I have seen IoT a lot of hype, but it may slow down. Maybe big data, it hyped a lot, Hadoop and all, but it maybe little come down, or maybe it came a pervasive into the thing, blockchain. Some of the aspects which will just hype for some time and come down. That's natural. AR, VR, all that thing, right? But which will sustain is the one just like AI. We are betting on it can sustain AI slash data science aspects, right? But if you see all of them as we speak now, also are not completely say maybe as you said GPUs or maybe there speech recognition or maybe there, but still if you see there are let's say more than 10 years for instance autonomous vehicles now it is getting into reality, but still can you see whatever works in US will it work in India?
Yes,
No, right?
I mean, it will come.
Are you with me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are with you.
Yeah. So that means there's a lot of development. It can happen. It will come. It will come. But I'm saying next big thing can be this. And another big thing what can change the world is quantum computing. Okay. It can aid along with the AI. You can ask what is the difference, what is the relation between AI and quantum computing, right? So, but we are as of now, what we are zeros and one basis for any programming or machine learning, deep learning or AI. But when the quantum computing comes into the mainstream, maybe down the line, 5 years, 10 years, is going to change the way we solve it. It may throw some problems on the security and other aspects, but it may going to drastically change it. So if you ask me what next big thing is quantum computing. Then if you see another big thing which may come in, and it may take easily 10 plus years, is artificial general intelligence. What does that mean is all the other things what you see in the other bubbles, not the orange ones, whether it is realized in 2 to 5 years or realized in 5 to 10 years. These are all the things which are going on now. We call it as a deep learning or graph analytics, machine learning. You can say it is give our chatbots for that matter. They are available, but still they are not reached to the expectation of each and every common man.
Yes.
Okay, so we see a lot of development, but when you ask the big things, artificial general intelligence, that means it is going to be not just a decision making with the input what we have given, just like human brain, can it really surpass? Maybe I am betting 10 plus years, but if you see the recent announcement by Elon Musk, he says in 5 years in some areas it's not like it's going to take over everywhere. In some areas maybe machines can take over man with the AI. So that is his betting. Okay, we if some people will respect him, some people will argue. That's okay. But I'm just quoting the things, right? So I want to give even in the AI, what comes to the picture is these things. What does this mean is in even the as of now, as you are in the students or maybe as we are working in the industry, what is happening is the basic AI is taken granted because some people will say that okay, I learned some logistic regression or maybe linear regression classification supervised learning. Is that the AI only? No, it has huge. This is only when small, and that too in a subset of AI is ML. ML subset is DL. We are talking about only one small portion. Okay, so if you ask me, that is the Gartner hype cycle I shown. This is what my thinking in next 5 years kind of a thing. What's going to work is artificial general intelligence is a futuristic principal AI. Build edge AI. So right now we are talking about only GPUs or maybe cloud to build the models. Going forward, the things are going to change. As of now, it is more of supervised learning. Almost, if I requote the Andrew Ng quotation, he says 90 to 95% of the problems maybe 2 years ago are supervised. Now I can say maybe close to 90% across the industries may be supervised, but that's going to change. Maybe in my betting, personal bet is within 5 years, maybe it may be 50-50%. Problem is we do have huge amount of data, but not all labeled or maybe with some annotation, right?
Yes, sir.
So unsupervised learning or reinforcement learning kind of a new paradigms. There are so many buzzwords beyond the supervised learning, right?
Yes.
So those are going to help us in building or solving a lot of problems is one way to look at. And even if you solve it, there is a lot of privacy concerns, and then there are a lot of it may impact the human. It should impact. It's a responsibility for all of us to democratize AI in a more meaningful way. That's where you will hear it. Okay, it's not just only sufficient to say it worked, but I don't know how. No, you are the creator. You should know at least what's happening so that you should be able to explain when maybe regulatory approvals or maybe to the common man how things are there. So these are the things which are I am betting in couple of years, which can be turn out to be a research problem. So some of the links I have, I'll share it to you guys. So where I wrote some blogs on that, some of the aspects which I am betting on, which is available publicly, I can refer it to you.
Yes, sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you for
Does it answer your question?
Yes, yes. Thanks for that explanation. So my
Sure.
next question will come to the to the more market part, or the I mean the more business oriented. So like
Mhm.
so like